welcome back to the New Joshua podcast. Today we continue our discussion of Chen Pan Ling. This one focuses around his relationship with his student Hong Yi Xiang, primarily from Hong Yi Xiang's book Blurred Boundaries, where Chen is giving some advice to Hong in terms of how to develop his school and develop his art. So it gets into the necessity for martial arts to be tested in real situations. And he discusses the necessity for innovation in martial arts so that things don't get stale and that you can keep the next generations interested. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves and be well.
Today we return to the topic of internal martial arts master Chen Pan Ling of originally of mainland China, but finally of Taiwan. As we mentioned last time, he's an older generation figure, passed away in the 1960s, but he was kind of considered one of the top promoters of Chinese martial arts in Taiwan once the mainlanders arrived there in 1949. So he being deep in the government was a high profile figure in Chinese martial arts at the time. And his style of Tai Chi isn't particularly widespread, but it's well known for being a combined style of kind of a best of all the different Tai Chi styles into one. So that's what made it unique. And that style ended up being taught by two of the main masters we've talked about this season, Hong Yi Xiang of Taipei, um, and the other master, Wang Shujin of southern Taiwan. And they both practiced and taught this Chen Pan Ling style. So that's how we kind of first heard about it. So in the book Blurred Boundaries by Hong Yi Xiang that came out last year, 2023, actually, he's got some great quotes from Taiji master Chen Pan Ling, because Chen Pan Ling's his father's teacher. So he picked up these words and words of wisdom from Master Chen back in the day. So he's got a chapter all about that. So we wanted to bring some of those out. So I'll start with this paragraph here. Chen Pan Ling says, I can't see the limit of Chinese martial arts. Teaching Chinese martial arts to American soldiers going to fight in Vietnam, it seems, is a predestined necessity of internal boxing returning to the battlefield. Xing Yi Chen is originally a combat technique, trained in the army of old, and it has been refined and diverse due to its influx into the civilian population. When folk arts are passed down, it is inevitable to avoid them becoming sensational claptrap and showy bullshit to please crowds. This makes the martial art enter into a flashy, impractical double dead end. Only by returning to the battlefield with its life or death baptism can we restore the original intention and original appearance of martial arts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's pretty much saying that Hong Yi Xiang was busy teaching American soldiers the Tang Shu Dao at that time. And he said, yeah, that's what we got to do. Like, quit this showy bullshit and get back on the battlefield. Yikes. That coming from a grizzled old soldier like him is, I can only imagine, somewhat grim statement. Like, I'm all for martial
Well, I
arts
mean,
being fighting, but dang.
yeah, I mean, if you want to test martial arts, there is no better way to do it than actual combat, right? Like that trumps any hand-to-hand competition you're ever gonna get to as far as testing something, right? Like
Right.
you can, because that's one of the big criticisms of sport martial arts, right? Is that
Sure.
there are rules and there are agreed upon outcomes, even if one of the agreed upon outcomes is death, right? At least it's agreed upon by ahead of time. So you know what you're kind of getting into before it starts. Battlefield, all bets are off. I mean, it's chaos, right? So Xing Yi, for example, that like he says, is rooted in that battlefield thing. And so I think what he's kind of getting at is the idea that um, you can't judge a martial art until it's really put into a full combat situation, right?
Especially one like Xing Yi that originates from the battlefield, then for it
Yeah,
to grow to a new level, then teaching these soldiers is probably
yeah, and that's one of the
refreshing.
pragmatic things that you I think Wang Shijing was kind of the same way. I mean, the idea that if it wasn't effective in combat, why bother? Right.
Yeah. Right. Otherwise, they just become dance performances to please the crowd, right? So here goes Chen Pan Ling a little bit more. He says, if Westerners are willing to learn Chinese traditional martial arts after they already defeated China's broadswords, spears, thrusting swords, and halberds with foreign guns, there must be some empirical evidence behind their rationale. Putting to good use the Western emphasis on the logic of natural selection and survival of the fittest, and employing the most pragmatic and objective standards to screen the survival value of traditional Chinese martial arts, we can boldly eliminate the weak and retain the strong, allowing excellent martial arts to seek out superior genes with high survivability. This can be regarded as borrowing strength to augment strength, a good strategy for win-win. So that's sort of giving you that feeling of him, hey, if the foreigners beat us on the battlefield with guns, but they also want to learn Chinese martial arts, that tells you there's
Right.
something about Chinese martial arts that's special.
He's saying there's like some intrinsic value to this beyond just being able to win a war with it, right? Like that even the guys who beat us with gut because they had guns and we did,
Right.
right? Like he's saying there's still a pragmatic combative application to
Yeah.
martial arts, right? So even if you're going to use guns and knives and things to do the actual fighting in terms of training, there's something that internal martial arts specifically have to add to that so you kind of get over some of the obstacles to being comfortable, if you want to use that word, in combat.
Right. Chen Pan says further, no matter what decision is faced, the strong seek solutions, the weak seek excuses. Are you the kind who looks for a solution as a countermeasure, or the kind looking for an excuse to shirk responsibilities? Those who have been gifted with good fortune must bear the responsibility of passing it on. A serendipity of turbulent times, and it is also the will of heaven. If there had been no conflict between the Kuomintang and the Communist Party, there would be no large-scale migrations of famous teachers to the south. And even more so, there would have been no large-scale transmission of northern boxing styles to the south. Without the rich financial resources of the Hong family providing timely help, like delivering coal in winter, absent the talents residing here in chance encounters, then there would be none of today's achievements. Through the exchange and sharing of Xingyi and Bagua to be able to find reconciliation. So I think he's sort of seeing the silver lining of all these terrible historical events happened, but Chinese martial arts did spread in the process of this terrible conflict.
Yeah, I mean, it got rid of some of the bullshit, right? Like the things that were just flashy crap didn't survive actual
Mm,
combat and war and depression and that whole thing of like was it was it Peter what was it Gabriel Chin in your book talks about it
mm,
Tai Chi getting him through the war and it wasn't
yeah,
because of the fighting part of it, right?
yeah,
That
yeah, no doubt, right?
having something like internal martial arts as a kind of underlying practice when you're put in situations like that, from everything I've been told, really helps.
So he says he's encouraging Hong Yi Xiang to go out and teach foreigners and others as opposed to tradition. As we talked about last time, one of the notes about Chen Pan Ling is that he was known for not doing the discipleship ceremony and for at least that's what Robert
Right.
Smith said. I don't know how true it is, but
Sort of
he was
being a
an
little,
innovator. He was
yeah.
a bit of a rebel. He didn't do it the old way necessarily. So he believed in changed, improved things. So he says, um, in a nutshell, only by virtue of continuous innovation, constant renewal, is the universal principle of Taoism passed down for 100 generations and thousands of years. Using traditional elements as the foundation to advance bold creativity. Then return the innovation gained back into the tradition, so that tradition can steadily keep up with the times. Your teacher Zhang Zhenfeng often said, if you win, you are correct. Well, that's well said. He gets right to the point and draws blood. So he appreciates Master Zhang's statement. Hey, if you're a winner, you're right. nobody can argue because you won. The
I
logic
mean,
necessarily have to be
in
there.
the world of fighting, that is absolutely right. I mean,
That's the rule. So if a traditionalist will say that's not Tai Chi, but the winner says, "Hey, I've won using Tai Chi," and you could say no, but I'm the guy who won, not you.
right.
And that's an argument that's been clearly going on for a long ass time. And Chen Pan Ling has to chime in on it as if it's a message board in 2025,
Right.
but or 2005 when there were lots of arguments about what's real Tai Chi and not. So hey, if you win, you're correct.
The only way to find out who's the better fighter is Mad Max, right? When two men enter, one man leave, right? Like it's that's the only way. Everything short of that is, there's still a little bit of a question mark, right? And I think that's kind of what he's addressing here is no, if I win, I get to answer, I get to say what's right.
Right. Only the winner gets to make that claim.
Which is, yeah, there's some value in that, I think, like that uh I mean, it happens all the time in especially things that are form based, right? Somebody will say, "Oh, I know your hand needs to be like this and at this height and this angle," and then someone else will say, "No, no, no, it's this height and this angle." Well, how do you answer that? You have them fight, and which guy wins? Then his way of doing it is superior, right? And end of discussion. You don't need to talk about is the XYZ method better than the ABC method.
Right. He says, get right to the point and draw blood. This strain of Chinese martial arts and internal martial arts, there's the sort of kinder, gentler versions, but these guys, this Wang Shujin and Zhang Junfeng, and apparently Chen Pan Ling too, these were the very pragmatic, this needs to be put to work
These
fighting
were,
martial art, not
these were no nonsense guys.
whereas you look at maybe the Cheng Man school or Yang Cheng Fu in his later years of wanting it to be
Right.
more of a health art.
I
These
think,
guys are
well, I think that's what they're in the sense
reacting.
reacting to
Yeah.
is the martial arts for health movement.
Yeah. So there's always that tension has been going on during these guys' lifetime.
Well, yeah,
Maybe
and
the generation before Chen Pan Ling, there wasn't any talk about health. Nobody even brought that up. They're too busy trying to survive in a ruthless martial arts atmosphere of the Boxer Rebellion time period. But only in the 1930s, 40s, suddenly that health thing really flipped the script, and became the
yeah,
main
I also
topic.
think it had to do with um technology, right? I mean,
Sure.
it was people basically books and thing and video, like not video, but movies and things like that they were in their infancy, but you could hear about a martial art from a different area other than just your own little village or whatever, right? Like things were more modern in that sense, right? So the fact that trains and automobiles and these sorts of things started to influence, people could
Uh-huh.
travel easier and go places and check out different teachers and in a way that they couldn't before. And so I think that really like influenced everything, but it also influenced martial arts.
So Chen Pan Ling speaks again to his student Hong Yi Xiang. Let's chat about your Yi Zong Tang Shi Dao again. What you need now is not the external framework. We already have that. But what you need is internal training, so-called refining cinnabar. I think he's saying Neidan.
Yeah, that's the poor translation of Nidon, I think.
He says, this means an alchemic process guiding the concentration of inner essence. The only thing that does not overlap your past training. This should be the 99 form Taiji. So this is that form that Chen Panling had assembled, or he was part of the committee to assemble, or according to some people, he was just the secretary who wrote down the assembling of
Right.
the
Yeah.
form that now bears his name. So he was the sort of the author, the editor who published the pamphlet that the government put out of the 99 form Taiji. He says 99 Taiji, also called the Guoshu Taiji. So it's the official method of the
Right.
Guoshu Guan, the government-sponsored martial arts method of the nationalist government. 99 Taiji is a method of integrating the essence of various schools of Taiji into one grand achievement. Each school, each style has its own strengths and weaknesses. If they all draw their own boundaries, they isolate themselves. The research and creation of 99 Taiji is the brainchild of selfless contributions from famous Taiji masters of various schools, sharing the essence of their hard-won wisdom. It gathers together Chen, Yang, Sun, and Wu styles of Taiji, and merges some characteristics of Shaolin, Xingyi, and Bagua as well. After removing repetitive and duplicative moves, we extracted those techniques having the highest practical effectiveness, the greatest physical benefits, the most natural and complete, and the best potential for developing latent cosmic abilities. These were refreshed and rearranged to create a form with the aim of best embodying the simple controlling the complex and the soft overcoming the hard. It is a holistic routine with depth and breadth. So that's the formation of this 99 Taiji form.
Yeah, we talked about last time about the sort of the movement to modernize Tai Chi and what that resulted in essentially was this simplification and merging of different styles and adding a little bit of other martial arts to give it some round out some of its capabilities, if you will.
Definitely. And I guess it's only simplified in the sense that you're taking 4 or 5 different schools of Tai Chi and squishing them together. So now you don't have to study
Right,
all 5 of them, but it's not any easier than studying any one of them. If
right,
anything, it's harder because you got all
right.
this stuff in there. So it was an attempt to really capture everything in one place. So that definitely doesn't make it any easier. So he says this: external martial arts are a must for entering the gate of Chinese traditional martial arts training. The emphasis is on the foundation, creating a platform on which to build and pursue the transformation of tendon, bone, and marrow. Xingyi Chen emphasizes rising, drilling, dropping, and overturning, the scraping set to develop power. Direct force spiraling and drilling in like the bore of a gun arcing inward. Bagua palm requires walking, piercing, twisting, turning, button in and swing out stepping, overturning and rolling, with transverse energy, hungjing, to flank, yank, and drop, and hence abandons the direct in favor of the angle to strike true. So he lists the different type of forces and vectors that you use in the different. So he talks about Xingyi has rising, drilling, dropping, and overturning. That's that P trend up, out, down, and in wave kind of. And it says direct force spiraling. So that's spiraling movement that drill right into the opponent kind of.
Oh, it's forward in a straight line, basically.
Right. Whereas the spiraling can be done while you're walking in a spiral, for instance. But where for Xingyi, the spiraling is like drilling forward, basically. And so I think he
Like
describes
a
it quite
bullet. I
well.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, well, the
A
bullet's
rifling of
like,
a bullet. Exactly. Yeah. It spins through the air going straight, making it more accurate and strong. Whereas Bagua Palm, he lists all the piercing, twisting, turning, button in step, swing out step, overturning, rolling.
well, that's a little misleading because those first ones are all straight things, right? I mean, and it's the stepping that makes it circular.
You could do a piercing in a straight line, but if you're swinging and swing out steps, those are going
Right.
to make the pierce go in more of a spiraling in a
I mean,
circle
we've
trajectory.
gone into this a whole bunch, but the idea that, Bagua in a sense is taking a lot of the principles that you have in Tai Chi and Xingyi and just put them on a circle.
Sure.
So
Sure. Those they also do piercing and twisting and
well, I mean, the rise, drill, overturn, and fall is the same motion in the single palm change as it is in Pichuan, for
I
example.
mean, you could even try to extrapolate to that Peng Liu Ji An
I
potentially.
was just going to say it's
Oh,
also the
okay.
roll back, the G to on is essentially
Same general
same
vibe.
circle,
Well, I
right?
like what he mentions Hung Jin, the side to side force. That is kind of a little bit unique to Bagua.
It's
Xingyi's
also
that rolling
I think it's
forward,
also
but that
referring to
crossing.
yeah
Yeah.
the it's not because the big difference I mean structurally between a lot of the stuff you do in Shingi and what you do in Bagua is in Shingi it's if it's your left foot it's your left hand In Bagua, it doesn't matter which hand it is. So you could be either hand
You're
when
crossing your
or
body much
both
more in
or
Bagua,
yeah. So
yeah.
there's a lot of stuff where it's your left foot, right hand kind of
Hmm.
things, and that sort of crossing over, which you have in Xingyi and Hongquan,
Sure.
which is why it's called Hongquan. But
Right. Crossing, yeah. He calls it transverse. So crossing, whatever you want to call that.
yeah, it's just a fancy
And I
word.
like it to flank, yank, and drop. Those are good descriptions of get to the side with Bagua and then yank them off base. Rather than sort of smashing with Shingi using those fist techniques to just break stuff. You're going to yank with Bagua where you get a hold of them and
Yeah, you're
pull them out, pull their skeleton.
the bullfighter, right? You
Hmm.
get out of the way, and as the bull is going past, you knock them off balance or
Yeah, I think of like a clothesline attack from Bagua where you just chop. They're going one way, and then your arm comes to their neck going the other way, so their feet flap in the air.
Mhm.
Whereas Xing Yi might just blast you straight on at a
Right.
slight angle, and then your feet would flap in the air. I suppose similar concept. So he describes those two, and now he describes Tai Chi in opposition or as in contrast. He says Tai Chi Chuan stresses silk reeling, twisting into eddies, moving in arcs that become circles. First, relaxing the body to allow the inner chi to sink and settle into the soles of the feet. Next, keeping the upper body free and supple. It uses vertical strength to guide the internal chi from the ground up through the spine, unifying the three types of spiraling energy direct, horizontal, and vertical into one. The entire body moving as one, so called holistic energy or silk reeling energy advancing and retreating forward and backward, practicing direct energy, left and right opening and closing practices horizontal energy, up and down, rising and falling trains vertical energy. Its holistic energy trains the whole body, inside and outside, to deliver one unified force. So I'm not sure what exactly he's translating the
That's
various
it's
jin forces.
basically the Tai Chi classic stuff,
Yeah,
right? He's talking about the different directions and the different types of force, basically.
right. So you're expressing the force forward for direct energy, horizontal side to side, and then vertical energy is up and down. And then he's talking about this holistic energy. So that could just mean that unified gene of becoming one.
One part moves, all parts
Yeah,
move.
pretty much. Yeah. He says after a person has practiced Shaolin, Xingyi, Bagua, and Taiji, he can use this 99 Taiji routine to encompass what he has learned. 99 implies extending boundlessly to unlimited size. Once you have mastered the form, use it as a medium in which to transplant the essence of what you have trained for a lifetime. First to exemplify, and second to string together.
Hmm. Yeah. But
So, yeah, there
like
you
I
have
says,
it.
first you got to do all these other things.
Right.
Like
Once you've done everything, then you've got this Taiji
this
container
is
to exemplify it. And so he says, first you exemplify it. So use the form to just get it great, and then you have it all strung together in one place.
well, at first it makes what you have better, and then it takes what you have and brings it to a unified whole.
Yeah. So he says, use this form to integrate what you have learned in your life. Then this will contain the essence of your learning as a quotes form of forms. This is the ultimate state of 99 Taiji. If you only follow the standard routine like a military drill, you can train a lifetime with no great achievement. The emphasis in the transmission of boxing arts is on explaining the concept and extending it. Regrettably, the more profound the method, the more that only the wise can really understand. That's why it is said of 99 Taiji. It is simple in style but deep in meaning, easy to learn but difficult to master.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was saying. I mean, I think I respect the attempt. I don't know if I agree with doing it. Like in my opinion, I think I'm more of a traditionalist in that I think people should learn the arts before they try to mush them together. But again, I mean, most people won't have time for that. So learning something that encompasses all of them is a nice way to get people over that hump, I guess.
Yeah. So his final little statement about the 99 form is the key lies in the concept, not in the specific movements and application. When you learn 99 Tai Chi, you must first let go of established subjectivity. The emptier the cup, the more that can be added, the greater the malleability. You must return to zero and learn from scratch. There can be no obstructions.
Mm.
So that's the same old story. Basically, throw
Right.
out everything you already know, and I'm going to fill it
Well, I mean, that's
up.
where in I guess was sort of my hesitancy with this approach. It always seems that what they say is, okay, we got to find this new way of doing things that doesn't confuse it or whatever. And then what they end up going back to is all the traditional stuff, right?
Right.
So, the idea that, oh, we got to modernize this. Well, how do you modernize this? You modernize it with Negong. Well, Negong is the thing that we started with. So how is
Right.
that modernizing? You're just going back to the thing it started with, and you're just
Right.
taking away some of the
It's
stuff.
just a fancy way of saying, hey, drop all the shit you're doing and do what I do.
Exactly. And I mean, we've said this before, but every teacher essentially is going to do that, right? They're going to
Right.
tell you, oh no, everything you're doing is wrong
Time
now.
to start from scratch.
Let's start from scratch. And then about 70% of what they teach you is the same as
Right. It
everybody
was the
else,
same shit. Yeah.
right? That I mean, again, I think it's some of it's branding that people realize, oh wait, it's all basically the same stuff. So one way to make yourself, stand out, if you will, is you do something a little different, right? With Chen Man Ching, it's the fair lady's hand.
Mm.
Some people, it's doing with a lower squat or more of a lean. Bruce's thing is the bend and tuck,
Mm.
right? I mean, everybody's got their own little, like some people, it's the spine
Mm.
wave
Spine wave,
thing. I
sure.
mean, it just everybody's got their own little thing that they throw in there that makes it quote unquote special. And I think that's just part of, if you will, making it your own. That people are different and people like different things. And sort of what I was saying before, Tai Chi is it's really, I don't know, it's easy to put your stamp on it. It's easy to just change a little bit and do something. I mean, you could do that with Xingyi and Bagua too, but I think just because you're moving slower in Tai Chi, that it's more visible when you make a change, right?
Mm.
Like you could do a certain kind of hand motion.
Hmm. And
I
in such a long form, there's more room to throw a little something in
Right.
there and
And there's
just keep the
also
vibe.
already a lot of repetition. So it gives you, like, for example, you could do one set of brush knee the way Tai Chi does it. Then you could do the next one with a little more of a Xingyi Bagua kind of hand motion or something. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of, I mean, this is where um what I said in the last episode is, Chen Pan Ling was this like encyclopedia of martial arts. And so he had this view of it as a whole and seeing the good, kind of like you, where I mean, I remember one time you just getting excited about seeing some kid in a gi walking down the street, because it's just, oh, somebody doing martial arts. All right. Like I think some people just have that love of martial arts that's like, it doesn't matter what martial art it is, at
Well,
what
at least
level,
somebody's doing it.
there's something valuable in that practice. And I think that's sort of where this dude was coming from. Was he just really loved martial arts.
Yeah, keep it alive somehow. So
Mhm.
he ends by just talking to Master Hong and says, look, I can't come to Taipei to teach you. If so, we should rather maintain our original friendship. Taipei's too humid. I can't get used to it up there. Besides, there's just so many disciples here, I can't let them go. Use the time you spend on business trips down here to Taichung collecting payments twice a month. And no, don't bring such a big gift each time you come. I'm already friends with the Hong family. There's no need. We're old friends, so save a little bit. It takes at least 3 or 4 years for ordinary people to grasp the form. Let's see after you return to Taipei what your own training regime is like. After all, Master Zhongjin Feng is there. I'll pay you a visit myself. There will be no problems. I believe that the 99 Taiji can be promoted more effectively at home and abroad. The elevation and improvement of internal martial arts has always lacked a permanent organization capable of continuing its research and development. If you look at the tradition of the Japanese and Westerners in learning, they're constantly innovating and developing. It will take less than a few years for them to catch up to and even surpass us. if we can't continue to explore the higher realms, I'm afraid one day our offspring will have to go abroad to learn traditional Chinese martial arts.
He's kind of right about that one.
Ouch.
He's not too far off the mark. I mean, I think for at least the last 10, 15 years, I think the interest in
Foreigners are definitely the big market.
the big market for internal martial arts.
I mean, that's what I've heard from Lo Deshiu, that his son's generation wasn't too interested and they want to play video games and do
Yeah, I think they're
sports and
just like kids here, basically.
right. And
Yeah.
so I think that's not just there, that's everywhere.
Yeah.
It just so happens enough foreigners got into it, so there's a market here as well. But my kids have no interest either. I understand. Like it's just it's a there's only and probably in old China there wasn't a lot of interest either. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean,
what Lo said is he said in the 60s in Taiwan when he was a kid, there was nothing better to do. There was just there was no sports, there was no game, there just wasn't much
I
stuff.
sort of
So
think of it, it's
kind of had no choice.
like lacrosse or some sport that some people play, but it's not popular. It's like it's not like playing football or baseball.
Right,
That's
right,
football and baseball. Like they got all those things too, and it's like the part of why people do things is it's what's available, and the more things become available, the more. And I don't necessarily know that if I lived in China, I would be interested. The comparison I always make when people sort of bring this up is my dad's a therapist, and so I don't want to do therapy.
right,
Like
exactly.
you don't want to do the thing that your parents do, so you sort of
Absolutely.
find something, maybe something close to it, but you go
And
off.
maybe later in life you find it, but like,
Right, but
especially when you're younger, you just want to
right.
differentiate.
So, I mean, I can, put yourself in the mindset of a rebellious teenager whose dad does internal martial arts, right? That you're probably not going to want to do that. And
Right,
so you're probably going to want to play video games and chat with people on the internet like a normal teenager.
right. So that's it for Chen Pan Ling for now.
All right. Till next time.
See ya.
Yep. Hey, folks, thanks for listening to another episode of the Neja Chuan podcast. If you want to join our Patreon, it's $5 a month. You can get a bonus episode for every episode we put out, as well as all our interviews and bonus content up on the Patreon. All right, thanks for listening. Take care of yourselves and be well.